नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. The screen is coming some error.
Yeah, I also got the same error. Okay. So you're not able to read it probably, right? I have a book with me. If you want me to read from book, I can read also.
I think so. You're in the car right now, Vijay.
But I have Bhagavatam. I'm sitting in the, I came
Oh,
for
okay.
Guru Maharaj class. So
Oh, okay,
after this
okay.
class, I'll go to inside to hear Guru Maharaj.
Oh, okay. Sure,
Yeah.
Prabhuji. Sorry, I was trying even different links also. It's coming in the same way error.
No worries. Yeah.
Sorry, Prabhuji.
Yeah, let us read. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Okay, today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam 9th Canto, 19th chapter, from 21st verse to 29th verse. This completes the chapter. 21st verse. Sukadeva Goswami said, after speaking in this way to his wife, Devyani, King Yayati, who was now free from all material desires, called his youngest son Puru and returned Puru's youth in exchange for his old age, for his own old age. Text 22. King Yayati gave the southeast to his son Druhyu, the south to his son Yadu, the west to his son Turvasu, and the north to his son Anu. In this way he divided the kingdom. Text 23. Yayati enthroned his youngest son Puru as the emperor of the entire world and the proprietor of all its riches, and he placed all the other sons who were older than Puru under Puru's control. Text 24. Having enjoyed sense gratification for many years, O King Parikshit, Yayati was accustomed to it, but he gave it up entirely in a moment. Just as a bird flies away from the nest as soon as its wings have grown. Text 25. Because King Yayati completely surrendered unto Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, he was freed from all contamination of the material modes of nature. Because of his self-realization, he was able to fix his mind upon the transcendence, Parabrahman Vasudeva, and thus he ultimately achieved the position of an associate of the Lord. Text 26. When Devyani heard Maharaj Yayati's story of the he-goat and she-goat, she understood that this story, which was presented as if a funny joke for entertainment between husband and wife, was intended to awaken her to her constitutional position. Text 27 and 28. Thereafter, Devayani, the daughter of Sukracharya, understood that the materialistic association of husband, friends and relatives is like the association in a hotel full of tourists. The relationships of society, friendship and love are created by the Maya of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, exactly as in a dream. By the grace of Krishna, Devayani gave up her imaginary position in the material world, completely fixing her mind upon Krishna. She achieved liberation from the gross and subtle bodies. Text 29. O Lord Vasudeva, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation. You live as the super soul in everyone's heart and are smaller than the smallest. Yet you are greater than the greatest and are all pervading. You appear completely silent, having nothing to do, but this is due to your all pervading nature and your fullness in all opulences. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So we'll discuss briefly. Um, can you hear me okay from here?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chekshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you so much, devotees, for making the time for discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam itself is wonderful. Every section of Srimad Bhagavatam, every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam has the potential for awakening our Krishna Prema. So when we hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, when we reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we should understand the value of Srimad Bhagavatam as not different from Krishna and pay full attention. So we are hearing a nice pastime for the last two chapters, chapter 18 and chapter 19 of the 9th Canto, of King Yayati, how he was engrossed in sense gratification, and then he got detachment and he engaged in devotion. And through in this last section we are hearing how he and his wife Devyani both got liberated and both went back to spiritual world, back to Godhead. That's what we are hearing in these two chapters. Such sections are very important for us to understand in two different angles. First of all, even without understanding anything, just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Srimad Bhagavatam itself is purifying. That means we are making devotional progress. That is clear. But if you understand it, try to understand it, then by Krishna's mercy, maybe we can understand something. We can understand in two different angles. One is by seeing the negative example of somebody going through some trouble by engaging in material enjoyment. What happens like that? So we can learn something from that negative example. And in this case, the same negative example from Yayati turned to a positive example. How we can turn that position where Yayati, from the position of sense enjoyment, he turned to devotion service to Krishna and then achieved perfection. Seeing that positive example, we can also gain inspiration and continue in our devotion more firmly, more enthusiastically, more with more energy and vigor like that. So that is why these Srimad Bhagavatam pastimes are powerful in terms of purifying, in terms of giving us the negative examples and positive examples to learn from and to get inspired by. So now we'll go to the few verses. Yesterday, you already heard from Hare Krishna Kirtan Prabhu. So wonderful description about King Yayati, his own realizations after he narrated the pastime of the he-goat and she-goat to his wife Devayani. And his wonderful relations told us, I will not repeat the whole class of Hare Krishna Kirtan Prabhu, but these verses are very, very important, especially for people like me who are suffering with sense enjoyment tendencies. These verses will really give us a detachment and renunciation mentality and attitude. So we can go back to them and refer to them if you like. So essentially, I will highlight the key points, not too much, highlight the key points. So the key points we heard were how lust is insatiable. Lust doesn't go away by trying to satisfy it. It's like an example of fire is given in the verses where as you keep on pouring the ghee, fire doesn't go down but fire increases like that. Similar to that we heard. And then we also heard the drawbacks of sense enjoyment, which is it increases bodily conception of life, and it creates our it helps us to keep on going here birth after birth in the material world like that. That is another drawback we heard. And also we heard how sense gratification doesn't satisfy our heart and soul. Sense gratification is only on the platform of the senses and mind. So if you want to get satisfaction at the heart and soul level, the only way to do that is by engaging in devotional service to Krishna, and through that we'll be satisfied at the heart and the soul level like that. So these are the few things we heard, and one other common theme I'll explain in the two chapters together. I heard from His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu is amazing to summarize key concepts in a nice way. So the way he describes is, most of us think, okay, I will try to enjoy senses this way, but I didn't get satisfaction and happiness. Oh, because I didn't get the right object for enjoyment. Let us say I am trying to enjoy eating vanilla ice cream. Then I think, oh, because it's vanilla ice cream I didn't get enjoyment. Maybe I should try butterscotch ice cream. So like that, we think we're not happy and satisfied because our desire is not fully satisfied because of certain type of object that we're trying to enjoy. That is, and because of the misconception, what I do, I'll try different objects of sense gratification, whether it's for taste, whether it's for seeing, whether it's for hearing, whether it's for touching, whether it's smelling, doesn't matter. I try different objects for sense gratification, thinking that my desire is not fully satisfied because I did not get the right object for enjoyment. But the reality is, we're actually suffering not because we are not getting the right object for enjoyment, because we have the desire to enjoy senses in this way. That desire itself is causing suffering. So, number one. Number two, even though we have the right object for enjoyment, let us say I get the right flavor of ice cream that I like, but still my senses are limited. That means I can enjoy the ice cream only for limited amount of time, limited quantity. I cannot keep on eating ice cream for 2 hours or whole day or for whole life. I need some break. So that means there is a limitation in the senses also to enjoy. It's not only that I'm not getting the right object of sense enjoyment, but my senses itself are limited in giving me enjoyment like that. That's the important principle to learn also. So to summarize, so we're not happy not just because the object of senses is not right, but because our senses itself are limited in sense enjoyment. That is one principle we are learning. Second principle we can learn is that I am suffering not because I am not enjoying in a proper way, because of sense object is not there, because of my limited senses, but actually I am suffering because of my desires are dominating me. That is why I am dominating my consciousness. That is why I am suffering like that. What does this mean? His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu gives a simple and nice example. For example, somebody is an alcoholic, somebody who is a drunkard, somebody who is accustomed to drinking every day. So, there on that particular day, somehow all the alcohol shops are closed for some reason. So, they are trying to go to this shop to find that particular flavor or that particular type of drink, and they cannot get it. Either shop is closed or that particular flavor of drink is not there. So they keep on going to different shops in search for that happiness that they're looking for. But now imagine there's a sober person who doesn't have alcoholic addiction like that. Then they're happy, they're not going shop to shop looking for it, but they're happy in themselves, they're happy at home doing something whatever they need to do or whatever they like to do. But this person, because of his desire is dominating in the consciousness, is going from different shop to different shop trying for it and is unhappy, not able to find it. That's a clear example that because he is dominated by that desire, is suffering. Whereas the other person who doesn't have the domination of the desire is not suffering. So there is another realization we can get also. Yeah? And then now we learned these two principles. One principle was that sense gratification is limited either due to the object we are enjoying or due to the senses that we have, a limitation of the senses we have. And second principle we heard is the suffering that we have in sense enjoyment is not because of the object not being right or because of the limited senses. More than that, the suffering we are going through is because the desires are dominating our consciousness. That's what is leading to suffering. So now let's take it to the next level. Now before I go into the theme of this section, let us go to the storyline first. So yesterday we heard from Hare Krishna Kirtan Prabhu how King Yati was becoming detached through engaging in devotional service. So now today we'll continue the section. King Yati, after speaking this he goat and she goat story to his wife Devyani, so now he called his youngest son Puru. Remember, he has many sons, and if you remember from the previous chapter, he got this youth from his youngest son. His name was Puru, and Puru got the old age. So now he calls him, and he returned his youth that he took from Puru back to his youngest son Puru, and then he took his old age back from him. That's what we hear from text number 21. Going to text number 22, then remember we talked about in the last class I gave on Friday, we discussed about Prabhupada focusing on the theme of Vanaprastha. So after Grihastha life, we need to take Vanaprastha life. So now he's getting ready for Vanaprastha. So what does he do in preparation for Vanaprastha? He gives away his responsibilities of ruling the kingdom to his children. It's described, one of the direction he gives to one son called Druhyu. Another direction he gives to another son called Yadu. Another direction he gives to another son called Turvasu. And another direction to Anu. So in this way, he divided his kingdom among different sons is described. However, the youngest son, Puru, who gave his youth to him, he made him the emperor of all the kings. That means the whole place he is the emperor like that. All the kings are under him, including other children, other elder sons, elder brothers are also his subjugated or subordinate to his emperor like that, Puru. And so that means one other lesson we learn from here is sometimes in learned circles, in people with integrity and character, even though somebody may be younger, but if they have a higher character, then they are respected more. Similarly, because of Puru's better character, he is given the responsibility of being an emperor. And others are reporting to him, old people are also reporting to him like that. So it's not the age that is important. It's the realization that is important. It's the character that is important. It's the integrity that is important. That is one more lesson we can learn from this 23rd verse. Now moving on to 24th verse. Remember, until now, King Yati was fully engrossed in sense gratification, like we heard yesterday and day before, or Monday or Friday. He was fully engrossed in sense gratification. But it is described, he gave it up suddenly in a moment, all that sense gratification. And there's an example that is elaborating it. The example given is a small baby bird is cared for by mother and father. Mother and father birds bring the food because baby bird does not developed wings yet. So it cannot fly. So if it cannot fly, it cannot find its own food for eating. So the mother and father birds will come, bring the food from outside and feed the baby bird. In fact, in the beginning days of the baby bird, it cannot even bend its neck to pick up the food. What they do, mother and father birds do, they put the food in the mouth of the baby bird directly. So baby bird doesn't need to do too much effort also. But then slowly the baby bird grows in strength, baby bird grows its wings. The moment it grows its wings, it immediately flies away. It doesn't wait for mom and for dad to come and feed it now anymore. it immediately flies and goes, finds its foods and eats it like that. Similarly, Prabhupada is writing in the purport, if one fully surrenders to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, then he is immediately liberated from bondage of the material world, bondage of the conditioned life, bondage of the sense gratification tendencies like that. So, because Maharaj Yadati was eager to serve Vasudeva, Krishna gave him the intelligence, Krishna gave him the ability or, or the power to be able to give up sense gratification in a moment itself and fully surrender to him like that. So we are learning a couple of things from here. One is a message that you already heard from Hare Krishna Kirtan Prabhu yesterday, which is by engaging in Bhakti Yoga, by engaging in devotion service to Krishna, we get the strength to give up sense gratification tendencies, to purify our material contaminations like lust, anger, greed, envy. All those things can be purified by the mercy of Krishna by engaging in devotion service of Krishna. That is one message we are hearing here from Prabhupada in the purport also. Another important message is, when I am eager to engage in devotion service, when I am eager to grow in bhakti, then Krishna will help me. I don't need to be worried, oh my God, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to get it. As long as I have the eagerness and desire to engage in bhakti, eagerness to grow in my relationship with Krishna, then Krishna will give me the right intelligence, not only the intelligence, right resources for me to grow in bhakti like that. So that is another principle Prabhupada is highlighting in this purport for us. Going to the next verse, text number 25. In this verse we are hearing from Sukadeva Goswami that King Yayati completely surrendered unto Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. And because he did so, he was cleared from all the contaminations of material modes of nature. That means he went clear beyond mode of ignorance, beyond mode of passion, beyond even mode of goodness to Shuddha Sattva platform. That's what Prabhupada is elaborating in the purport for us. So, first of all, we know that mode of goodness, Sattva Guna, is important, is helpful for us to practice bhakti. However, like Krishna describes himself personally to Uddhava in 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam also, we'll come to it after some time, that we should go beyond Sattva Guna through bhakti and we reach the platform of Shuddha Sattva. That means there is no contamination of material modes anymore. That is possible by taking shelter of Krishna, by engaging in 9 processes of devotion service or Navaveda Bhakti. Prabhupada quotes the verse, Srinvatam Swatakata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Hridyantostohi Abhadrani Vidnoti Surhud Satam. Basically, is telling us by engaging in devotional service, all sorts of contaminations we have will go away. We don't need to be worried. Oh my God, I cannot do this, I cannot do that. Oh my God, I have this problem, I have this weakness, is this difficulty, I have this addiction. Everything will go away by practicing bhakti. That is one principle Prabhupada is sharing in the purport. And then another principle, another point in the translation itself, because of his self-realization and is meditating on Supreme Lord, he ultimately achieved the position of the associate of the Lord, Parshada. So that is the power of bhakti. Bhakti helps us not only overcome some small weaknesses that we have, bhakti helps us to actually become an associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can become friend of the Supreme Lord. We can become a father of the Supreme Lord. We can become lover of the Supreme Lord. We can become a servant of Supreme Lord. Like that we can develop our own relationship with the Supreme Lord. That's called as Swarupa Siddhi. Swarupa Siddhi. That's all Prabhupada also comments that in one of the purports here in this section also. So that is possible by engaging in bhakti itself like that. In the same purport is Prabhupada is talking about Swarupa Siddhi. And Prabhupada also elaborates on how chanting and hearing about the Supreme Lord purifies us and gets us to perfection like that. Now moving on further, so basically King Yayati achieved perfection by devotional service. And by seeing King Yayati, personal example, and by hearing his realizations, and by through the story that he narrated, Mother Devyani, who is the queen, she also got self-realized, and she also woke up, and she also got liberated to the platform of I am a servant of Krishna. My enjoyment is in serving Krishna only, like that. She also got that realization, and she also uh, got the realization of detachment. She saw all this relationship with family, friends, society is all like temporary. Like when you go to hotel, there are so many tourists come to the hotel. So we all say Hare Krishna, how are you doing, where are you from, and all that we talk. But after we finish the tour, we go back to our homes. So it's a temporary relationship. Similarly, our relationships in this world are temporary. What is permanent is our devotion to Krishna. She has that realization, and she also practices bhakti, and she also goes back to Godhead. So that's how the chapter concludes. Essentially, King Yayati and Mother Devyani both engaged in devotional service, and by the mercy of Krishna, they both achieve perfection, and they both go back to Godhead. So, so that is so essential. If you take the essence of this whole section, what we are hearing is, instead of being engrossed in sense gratification and trying for material enjoyment, we should develop detachment from that by engaging in devotional service, by engaging in bhakti properly in terms of quantity and quality, not mechanically. Then we get the strength and mercy of Krishna to develop detachment from sense gratification and to achieve perfection beyond the modes of nature, and we become the associate of Krishna personally. That is what we are learning from this section. And some of you might have heard this from before, but it doesn't hurt. Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj has a class called the Cost of Temptation. You can hear if you get a chance. So he gives a acronym COST, and that nicely summarizes this whole 2 chapters for us also. How do we go from so much trouble with sense gratification, so much addiction we have for sense gratification, to the perfection platform? He says C stands for conviction. Conviction means we need to be convinced of a higher goal that we want to achieve, the ultimate goal we need to achieve. When we are getting convinced that I want to achieve the ultimate goal, I don't want little happiness for 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 month, 1 year. I want eternal happiness and ever growing happiness in service to Krishna. We need to be convinced of that ultimate goal, number one. And then we need to be convinced that I can achieve that goal. How can we be convinced and be confident that I can achieve that goal? Because Krishna is there on our side, like we saw in this Yayati story. Krishna will help us in step by step. Krishna will help us by giving mercy, ability, intelligence to go back to Him. So we have that conviction, that is the C. And the O means open relationship. We need to have one relationship with our Guru, Diksha Guru, Siksha Guru, our mentor, where we can openly share the positive things in our life, negative things in our life, how we are struggling, how we are improving, how we are developing nice realizations. We should have some honest, open relationship with one mentor or Guru in our life. Then they can support us to go through the phase of handling sense gratification and go beyond that. Number 2. So C is the conviction of a higher goal, conviction that we can do, conviction that we can achieve the higher goal. And then O is the openness with a senior relationship, whether it's Diksha Guru, Siksha Guru, or a mentor in our life. And then S is the safety. Just because I'm convinced, so I don't need to be foolish and stupid. I need to be careful. If I go sit before TV, I want to on the remote. If I go to YouTube and go to Facebook or YouTube, beyond the devotional videos that we see, then I will be swayed away to something else. If I go sit in a restaurant, I will feel like eating. If I go to a movie theater, I will go feel like seeing movie. So we need to understand, we need to create a safe structure, safe boundaries for ourselves. That way, we can protect ourselves while we are developing the higher taste, while we are getting the strength from devotional service. Initially, we don't have so much strength to stop sense gratification. So we need to be careful what we choose to associate with. That is the safety portion. Then the final T is a taste. This safety will only work for some time till we develop higher taste. So we need to aim to develop a higher taste in bhakti. When we develop a higher taste in bhakti, then we don't feel like doing other cheap sense gratification anymore. So that means we need to engage in bhakti sincerely, seriously, not mechanically, but with our heart, and being attentive to devotional service practices that we are doing, chanting and hearing. Not just, I just need to finish it up like that. So, C is conviction, O is openness in relationship, S is safety, and T is taste development. Through that, we can overcome the temptation, we can achieve perfection. So, through this, we have the association of devotees and mercy of Krishna to achieve our goal. So, we can be confident and we can continue in bhakti nicely. So, we will pause here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kupa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you, Manidhar Prabhu, for sharing the link. I will share in the group also.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna devotees, see you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna devotees, thank you.